I'll now turn over the mic to Nina Easton, who is Fortune Magazine's Washington editor. She's come a long way here, but she's got some great stuff to talk about, so stay tuned.
Thank you, Ann. Don't go away. Nobody leave. We have some exciting, more exciting stage events here. I'm so pleased today to introduce a few leaders whom we've invited to briefly share their own insights from working in the developing world. James Mwangi, Group Managing Director and CEO of Equity Bank. He was trained in Spain and Kenya and has extensive experience in banking, but he used that experience to build a market among the unbanked. And in fact, in Kenya right now, most Kenyan bank accounts are held by Equity Bank. James has won numerous awards for sustainability and microfinance. But as if that wasn't enough, he has a new vision. He's chairman of Kenya's Vision 2030 Delivery Board. In other words, what the vision of Kenya is going to look like by that year. He's part of that effort as well. James?
Thank you very much. Yeah, the little story started in the mid-1960s when I was born in a rural village in a humble setting. As a toddler, I lost my father and had to be brought up by a widowed peasant farmer. And of course, like anybody would tell, I had to be a beneficiary of government bursaries to go to school. And on hindsight, today I realize it was only the headmaster of the primary school who had a bank account, and everybody else didn't have a bank account. And so I wished if I could get educated, I could do something about banking. And I did get through, became a group financial controller of an international bank, but realized only 4% of the Kenyan population was banked. And it's at that time, one of the Kenyan indigenous bank was due for foreclosure on technical insolvency, and on pleading with the governor, he challenged me, if it were you, I would give you a chance to do something about it. And that was my beginning on a journey to bank the unbanked. And in 1995, I jumped ship to that technically insolvent institution, which was a building society, which we quickly transformed into a microfinance institution and moved on. 5 years ago, turned into a microfinance regulated commercial bank. Over that period of 15 years, Equity Bank today is home to 56% of all bank accounts. And I'm glad my mother lived on to own a bank account. To ensure the village could get bank account, we innovated what we called the mobile banking, which was a Land Rover which would take banking services to every village once in a week. And I'm happy to say the whole village is now banked. But realizing how difficult it would be to bank every village using a mobile Land Rover, we went on innovation. And we started by trying to innovatively do social payments using banking system. And when we succeeded that, we realized it was possible to use technology. And lately, a month ago also, we were really fortunate to crack a product of a bank account that is mobile-centric. One can operate, and we are hoping before the end of the year, we shall have been able to increase the number of banked accounts in Kenya from the current 8 million, of who 4.7 are banking with Equity, to about 15 million accounts, equal to the number of cell phones in Kenya. So it's literally a revolution. Since we started, we are opening about 10,000 accounts per day, so it's really proving that this will likely be possible. Equity has continued banking the poor, but last year was voted by the Commonwealth as the African Business of the Year. The African Investor for the last 3 years has voted this the best investment in Africa. So you can bank the poor and make a capital gain in terms of a profit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. James, wait, I'm sorry, give him back the microphone. I'm going to break the 3-minute rule for 1 second. In 2 sentences, can you tell us the 2030 vision for Kenya?
Thank you very much. With Kenya inspired with what has happened with equity, I was challenged to see whether we could look at the aspiration of the people. And Mackenzie helped us over the last 5 years to come with a dream of the country. And we realized that the dream was long-term. It was a 25-year dream, ending in 2030, where the country would emerge as a middle-level income country with high-quality standard of living for the majority of the people. And inspired by what Equity has done, I was chosen to be the first chairman of the delivery board. What excites me is after only 1 year of service as chairman, top of mind discussion in Kenya is now about how life will be in 2030. I would like to invite you to join Kenyans and generally Africa as it struggles to improve the quality of life of its people by partnering with us. Equity 40% is owned by foreign organizations, so you can as well partner with us to do something so that the lives and livelihoods of the Africans would be improved over time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Our next voice is Nathan Eagle. He's co-founder and CEO of txteagle. Nathan is a former MIT professor who was named by Nokia as one of the world's top mobile phone developers. Through txteagle, he wants to develop the 2 billion cell phone users in the developing world to earn money with their cell phones.
Thank you. So late last year, I ended up leaving my position at MIT and doing something entirely different. I founded a company that essentially enables anyone with a mobile phone to earn small amounts of money. And to take a step back, the outsourcing industry is a $1.3 trillion industry, and most of it is around the centralized work, transactional work like forms processing and transcription translation. But what we've ended up developing is, through some algorithms and a mathematical framework, the ability to infer the right answer from a large set of workers who aren't necessarily always giving you the correct answer, and also being able to automatically infer their expertise. And so what that means is that we can suddenly now be able to enable anyone to do work without a manager. Instead of using managers to oversee the quality of a workforce, we use math. And this is profoundly different. And this is what we're hoping to do, will really change the way labor is done. What we are really looking for is the fact that there are literally billions of people now, thanks to the internet and mobile phones, that have suddenly been connected. And we have the ability to now push them work. And our goal as a company is to transform their idle time into income. And we're doing that in a wide range of different ways, and we're making a lot of traction. We are one of the largest employers in East Africa. We are doing hundreds of thousands of tasks a day into typically cyber cafes, and as well as mobile phones. But the mobile phones are critical for the payment. We're using infrastructure like M-Pesa, Zap, perhaps even James's MK show with Equity. And our partners include, or our clients include, Oracle for audio transcription. We're doing inventory management for IBM. We're trying to tag every video on YouTube for Google. So frankly, I'm quite proud of what we've been able to accomplish. We've transformed 15 million cell phones into a platform to enable people to do work and earn money. That really is profoundly empowering. And we're not stopping in Africa. We'll be rolling out in India and Indonesia, the Philippines. We hope to have a global workforce that we can harness very soon. And I can't stand here and pretend to know what kind of work people are going to be able to do on their phones in the future. But I maintain an absolute conviction that this type of idea has the potential to represent an important source of supplemental income for a large fraction of people on Earth today. Thank you.
Vaswani, Joint CEO and member of the board of Wipro. Suresh has been with Wipro for more than 24 years in various leadership positions. He takes responsibility for the strategy and business operations, but he also has a demonstrated passion for environmentalism, diversity, and gender issues. Suresh?
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure today to represent the voice of developing nations. Today, I touch upon some examples from India which are changing lives. Healthcare is an area which touches lives of everyone. It's the availability of affordable expert care that is key to the health of a nation. In India, a hospital chain performs cataract operations for $35 as compared to $2,500 in the US, and compared to $250 in a normal hospital in India. The hospital still runs a healthy profit margin, this in spite of the fact that 70% of the surgeries are done free of cost. This has been made possible with the use of technology and process-based de-skilling of medical care, wherein a surgeon is able to perform 2,600 cataract surgeries per month compared to the US average of 200. This example can be replicated globally, creating better lives for millions. My second example is from the Indian telecom industry, which has grown to 600 million users in just over 10 years. This widespread mobile penetration has been largely driven by the service provider's ability to offer lowest call rates and make profits at a very low ARPU, which is 1/10 that of the developed world. Wireless has brought in a social change and is touching common people. Today, some farmers can subscribe to information regarding prevailing market price, weather, or access mobile banking through mobile phones. Then there has been innovation around solar ATMs. The introduction of solar ATMs not only has made rural banking viable, but is also done in a sustainable way at a lower setup cost and through successful de-risking of erratic power supply. I cannot but close with an example of the IT and ITES industry I come from. This was a small $1 billion industry 15 years back. Today it is over $70 billion US, which is projected to grow to $225 billion by year 2020. This industry employs 2.2 million people today, and by 2020 is expected to employ 10 million, with an indirect potential of 4 times, so as much as 50 million people by 2020. India has become, or is on the way to becoming, the nerve center for the IT industries, for the IT service industry globally. These are just a few examples of innovation. I've heard a lot today. I'm sure there are many even more innovative examples across developing countries that will have universal appeal, not only in developing countries, but in developed countries as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suresh. I hope you're all getting just a small flavor of the innovative thinking that's inside this room. Our final voice is Mary Robinson, former president of Ireland. Mary served as Ireland's first female president in the 1990s, and then as the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. She founded Realizing Rights, the Ethical Globalization Initiative, and is a member of the Elders, Nelson Mandela's initiative to bring veteran, eminent world leaders to share their wisdom with the rest of us. Mary?
Thank you, Nina. And as an Irish African, I'm delighted to be back in this continent of my roots, and very pleased that the Global Forum has decided to meet here in Cape Town. I thought I might convey, I think, 2 messages from a human rights perspective. The first builds on what Mo Ibrahim was saying about governance, and indeed what Neville Idris was saying about the social license to operate of business. I've just come directly from New York, from a business leaders conference organized by the Global Compact of the United Nations, about 1,200 participants. And we were looking at the 10 principles of the Global Compact. The first 2 principles being to uphold the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and not be complicit in its violation. And then core labor standards, environmental principles, and the 10th principle is to tackle corruption. And it was interesting that the participants saw these 10 principles as being part of the future sustainability of corporations. And I'd like to just alert the audience here, those who are not aware, to the work of Professor John Ruggie. I chair the board of an Institute for Human Rights and Business, which operates out of London, and we work very closely with John Ruggie, who's the special representative of the Secretary General on business and human rights. He has performed a kind of miracle of getting the Human Rights Council to unanimously support his work and encourage him to develop guidelines for business in the area of human rights. And he's building on a framework he's already provided. And the framework is threefold. It identifies the duty of states to protect people from violations of their rights by non-state actors, including corporations. And secondly, the responsibility of all corporations to respect all human rights. And thirdly, that we need better remedies in all of those areas, grievance measures and others in corporations and remedies against states. But probably the most interesting work will be how he develops the respect of corporations to the responsibility of corporations to respect all human rights. He says it's not just a do no harm, it's a due diligence standard, and he will be developing that in the guidelines. So that whole area, I think, will address the license to operate of business. And the good thing about it is that because it's the United Nations, it's global standards. At that conference in New York, there were many companies from China, from India, from Brazil, from Argentina, and there were global networks. There are 80 global networks globally. So I think we're beginning to see the necessary building of that standard. The second message is a more grassroots message, and it's one that I feel very strongly about because I first encountered the paradoxical fact that large events can cause great inequalities. When we had a papal visit of a very popular pope to my own country, Ireland, Pope John Paul II, I realized that a lot of small traders and the traveling community who'd been for a long time in parts of cities where they did small trading and business were being swept aside so that they wouldn't be in the camera view. It's happening here for the World Cup. I've been approached by StreetNet International, and they have a campaign, World Class Cities for All. Together with Ela Bat, we actually wrote a letter to Mr. God, I should remember his name, Saab Blatter of FIFA, because we were so concerned. And it's an issue that South Africa can address and create a standard. Make this really an opportunity to say we need world-class cities for all, not just for the visitors who come and the television viewers who view, but also those who want to trade in the fan parks, who want to trade in the areas that are exclusion zones for the Coca-Colas and others who've paid sweet to FIFA, and FIFA make a huge profit. This is an issue of inequality. It's an issue of human rights. It's an issue for the Olympics in London. It's an issue for the next World Cup in Brazil. And I hope that South Africa will give a great lead here. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. Thank you for your important work. A round of applause to thank all of our voices today.